Recording. Okay, so first time with Kant. Let's see how you guys did. So we have a scale from 1 to 10. 10 is amazing, 1 is horrible. Any 10s for Kant? Put your hand. Okay, 9, 8, 7. Oh, 1 8. Halmurad. Okay, 7. Chavez. 6. 5. Y'all are not very gracious to Kant. 4. Morales. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, we'll start with the haters. Morales, that will be you. Tell us what happened.
I just found it very confusing. Like, I didn't really understand what he was trying to say, to be honest.
Okay, very good. It's normal, right? Now we're really getting into some more hardcore philosophy. This is how they write. So today, of course, we'll clarify. Hopefully you'll get away with something. You'll leave the class with something. But yes, this is one of the main issues with Kant, right? Okay, anybody else want to add to the haters? This is your moment to get it off your chest. Okay. All right then. So, where was I? Lovers. There was only one. Halmurad. Halmurad, you took this, right? That's why you're a lover.
Yeah, that's why it's so much easier for me now. On your other class.
This is gonna be redundant for you.
But I feel like I needed more time on this to digest it, to get the grasp of these ideas, because Kant is certainly a difficult writer, in my opinion. So
very good. Okay, good. Yes, Halmurad already took the class on Kant, so so it's a little easier to navigate. Very good. Anybody else has like anything to add before we get into? Yes.
I felt like when I was reading it, there were a lot of things that I could have gained from a lot of it, but then I wasn't sure, and it wasn't as clear as what he was trying to get out. But I felt like when I was reading it that I was missing certain things, that I thought there were probably really good messages in text.
Yes, he has a lot of good messages. We're going to see a little bit about them today. Okay, good. This is good. I always love putting students, in contact with the actual books, right, that people have written, even if the books are hard or harder than what they can handle, because it's just nice to be in the presence, right? For me, at least, I feel like it's interesting for anyone to be in the presence of a great mind, right? So even if you don't understand, you've spent a few minutes with one of the greatest thinkers, right, of the world. So all right, so let's look a little bit at this text. So let me summarize a little bit what Kant is doing again in this whole book, right? Why is he writing this book, right? So remember, unlike the religious mindset, and unlike also the philosophers like Hobbes, right, that we talked about last time, right? Kant believes that we all know within ourselves what is right and wrong, right? Morality is within us. We already have that organ within us which is telling us, right, what is right and what is wrong. So of course this is not the only voice, right? Anybody remember what are the two voices that inhabit us at all times that I mentioned in the introduction and that you saw in the reading? What are the two parts of us that are talking about opposite things? Remind me. Yes, Chavez, very good. Instinct and reason, right? So reason, let's start with instinct. Instinct is a part of us which is interested in immediate happiness, immediate gratification. You're hungry, you want a burger, you buy the burger, you eat the burger. That's instinct, right? Instinct, by the way, is also delayed gratification, right? You're hungry, you want a burger, but if you eat the burger, you won't be able to work out, and then you won't feel good, so you choose to work out. Right? This is still instinct, by the way, because it is still thinking in terms of happiness. But, like I'll be happier if I don't eat the burger, even though it would make me happy to eat it now, right? So instinct is more sophisticated than we think. It's that part of us which is always thinking about happiness, whether it's immediate or delayed. That's instinct, right? So Kant is saying we, however, have another voice within us called the voice of reason. And this voice doesn't seem to be interested at all in our happiness. In fact, many times it will actually go against our happiness, right? And he says, this voice, therefore, is interested in something else, right? Which Kant will call the good, right? So we have instinct, which is connected to happiness, reason, which is interested in the good. And of course, now we are curious to know, what is this good that we are thinking about beyond our happiness, right? It's Kant in a way is very countercultural, because in our civilization, in the Western civilization, in the American civilization, the highest thing to aim for is happiness, right? If I ask any of you, what's the biggest dream for your life? And you will tell me, oh, I want to have a nice job and a nice family and a nice house and a nice car, and I want to be happy. And most of us, right, we are really thinking that happiness is the highest goal, right? When we think of the American dream, we're thinking about happiness as the ultimate, right? Kant seems to be saying there's actually another goal higher than happiness, and this he calls the good. And he says we are forgetting about this higher goal, which for Kant actually is what makes us truly human, right? Make sure you write this down, right? The fact that we have a higher goal than happiness is what distinguishes us from animals. Animals are only interested in happiness. If you talk to your dog, it's not going to calculate anything. See something nice, it eats it immediately. If it doesn't eat it, because it's afraid, right? So this is for Kant what makes us human. What separates us from the animal kingdom is this ability to think about a higher goal than just happiness, right? And so he bases, right? So for him, human beings, the highest goal is not really just to be happy. And he bases this on the fact that we have been created with this organ, which is always seeking more than or something else than happiness, right? Okay. So of course, we are wondering now, of course, well, what is this good that we should be or that we are naturally inclined towards, right? Now, the reason Kant wrote the book is because we sometimes get the two mixed up. And many times when you're faced with a moral dilemma, you have a variety of paths that you could take, and very often instinct will be the loudest voice, and it will sometimes act like it's reason, masquerade as reason. We're going to see how it's difficult to distinguish sometimes, because sometimes the voice of instinct dresses up as reason. And so we think, yeah, that's the right thing to do, but actually it isn't. So I'm going to give you a few examples where you will be confused about what is the right thing to do. And you will see that it's not easy to distinguish between these voices. And so one of the main reasons Kant is writing the book is to help us become more clearly aware of what reason sounds like, what is this good, so that when we're faced with a moral choice, we know immediately what reason sounds like and we make the right decision if we choose to, right? Okay, so far so good. Everybody with me? Clear? Hand in the screen? Okay. Good. All right, so I'm summarizing, right, today's reading, and then we'll go into reading. Okay, so the first thing we're going to learn today, we're not yet going to learn today, what does the voice of reason sound like? Today, all we're going to learn is what it doesn't sound like. Okay, so and then next time we're going to learn about that. So let's go in the text together. And I'm starting on page 8. The third paragraph. In the natural constitution. Who is there? Raise your hand. Okay. All right. So here he's going to talk about the fact that we are made for more than happiness. And the way that he proves that is by saying if we were made just for happiness, we would just have been made with instinct. We wouldn't have reason. And so the fact that we were made with reason tells him that we have a higher goal. Okay, let me say that again, because this is important. Here, Kant is arguing against the American dream, right? That the highest goal of life is not happiness. And you can ask him, well, how do you know that? And he'll say, I know that because within me, there is this voice or this faculty or this organ, which is not interested in my happiness. Therefore, there seems to be a higher goal, right? Everybody follow the argument? Put your hand on the screen, right? He's gonna, maybe I write a few words in the chat, right? He's trying to prove, right, that we were not made just for happiness. He has to say this because a lot of us think this is the highest goal, right? He wants to say we're not just made for that. And how he proves this, right? By showing that by analyzing our human nature, right? And seeing in our nature a voice, reason, right, which seems to be interested in something else altogether, right? Interested in something else altogether. So he's kind of doing his argument based on our human nature, right? If we have this voice, means we should be aiming for something higher. So this is what he says here. In the natural constitution of an organized being, one suitably adapted to the purpose of life, let us take as a principle that in such a being, no organ is to be found for any end unless it be the most fit and the best adapted for that end. So he's saying we are an organized being. Every organ has a purpose. There is no organ that has no purpose, right? And so he says, right, so then he continues and he says, now, if that being's preservation, welfare, or in a word, its happiness, were the real end of nature, in the case of a being having reason and will, then nature would have hit upon a very poor arrangement in making the reason of the creature carry out this purpose. Translation. If our goal in life was to be happy, and we were made with reason, then he says we were not well made. Because reason, and we're going to see this in a second, is very bad at figuring out what is happiness, right? So he's saying if we were made for happiness, then nature should have made us just with instinct. But nature didn't make us just with instinct. It made us with reason, which hates happiness, and therefore, right, it doesn't make sense that we were made just for happiness. Everybody follow? I feel like unclear to myself. Am I clear to you at least? Okay. I just want to know, Halmurad, this is not good. We know you understand. The rest of you, are you following what I'm saying?
Can you just repeat what you just said just a little bit slower? Because it's like,
okay, I was feeling myself getting confused with what I was saying. So to answer Leventhal, happiness, yes, feeling good, feeling happy, feeling good, feeling peaceful. Yeah, this is happiness. Okay, let me say it again. Good. So what he's saying is this: if we were made just for happiness, then we would not have been made with reason. That's all he's saying. Why? Because reason constantly working against your happiness. So he's saying the fact that we have reason in our being shows us that we have another purpose. Now, am I clearer? Hand? Who understands? Zimmerman? Okay, that's good. All right, so that's all he's saying here, right? He's just saying if we were made just for happiness, we would just have been made with instinct, like the animals. But we were made with reason. Ooh, that tells me, he says, that maybe we have a higher destiny. Maybe we have a bigger destiny than just being happy. That's all he's saying here. Okay. He continues, for all the actions which such a creature has to perform with this purpose in view, and the whole rule of his conduct would have been prescribed much more exactly by instinct. In other words, if we were made for happiness, it would have been better to just have instinct. Instinct is great at figuring out what makes us happy. But the fact that we have reason implanted in us, which often fights with our happiness, means we perhaps have a higher destiny, a higher calling than happiness. That's all he's saying. Okay, so let me give you an example so you understand a little bit this conflict between happiness and reason. So here's a good example. And actually, we're gonna start to figure out how you guys reason things, whether you're using reason or instinct. So here's a scenario. You're in a bar, you're with your friends, you're still single, you have a crush on this girl or guy for a while, and all of a sudden they walk into the bar by themselves. And so your friends actually, they tell you, hey, by the way, did you know they just have a huge fight with their significant other? They're miserable, just so you know, your friends know you have a crush. Now, here's my question to you. What are you gonna do? Let me hear some examples. How many of you would go up to talk to that person now that they've had a big fight? Maybe you have a little entry. How many of you would go up to talk to them? Nobody? No. I don't believe you.
That's messed up.
Oh, it's messed up, Medina. Why? Tell me.
Well, if I'm friends with them, I wouldn't be like seeping through that hole in their relationship. It's really messed up.
Why is it messed up, Medina?
because I'm friends with that person. You
Oh
said,
no,
right? So if
you
we
don't
have
know
a
them.
friendship, I have to respect the friendship.
You don't know them that well yet. You just have a crush.
Oh, okay.
Does it change things, Medina?
No, I still respect like relationships, so I wouldn't
Okay, so
go
for the
out
sake
together.
of their relationship, you wouldn't go. Okay, what is
Yeah.
she using? Instinct or reason at that moment? You can put in the chat. How is she operating? Is it instinct telling her this or reason? Okay, very good, Leon. Yes, reason, because she's thinking of the relationship. She's ruining her own happiness, right? Now, how many of you, what is another reason why you wouldn't go up to talk to them? Leon, go ahead.
I feel like if you went up to talk to her, you're not her first choice. So it wasn't even meant to be. You said like this, like you don't want to be like the leftover. I mean, you don't want the leftovers. You want,
Oh,
the
rebound, the
main
rebound.
meal. Yeah, exactly. You
You
don't
want
want.
the rebound.
Right.
Okay, good.
That's how
Now,
I felt.
Leon, how is he thinking? Reason or instinct? What's dictating his answer, his approach? He doesn't want to be the rebound. Medina, are you sure it's reason?
I think it's instinct.
Why is it instinct?
I think it's instinct because, it's like a layered kind of thing, because it's him understanding the dynamics of the relationship and then realizing that even if they were to pursue something, in the long run, it might not be his happiness because you were simply used for the sake of getting over someone.
Exactly. So even though Liang is doing the right thing, like Medina, the intention is different. He doesn't want to be the rebound. He doesn't want to be the idiot, who ends up he's thinking of his happiness, right? So here, do you notice how both instinct and reason are ending up with the same result, right? So it's crazy. Now, for those of you who would go up, is there any reason why you would go up? And then we can analyze instinct or reason. Let's imagine someone goes up. So there's the worst case, right? You go up, you have no scruples, you want to get that person, you're thinking only of getting that person, this is your path in, instinct or reason? That one is clear. Instinct. Now, what if you go up simply to comfort them? Instinct or reason? Careful. Why is it?
And I think I'm probably gonna skip to what we're getting at, but I think it's really just the intention behind what you're seeking to do when you're talking to the person. Like, I don't think that I'm a jealous person. If I did like someone, or if there was a crush, then I'd probably still look out for them in this, in this controlled instance of, like, I can help them in some way. So keeping in mind what we were talking about with the rebound situation, I wouldn't want that, but I still kind of don't feel right seeing this person go through this painful situation.
Okay, very good. So this might be reason, right? So do you see how it's mixed up, right? It's sometimes instinct and reason will tell you to do the same thing, but what matters is your intention. Are you thinking about the right thing to do, which we don't know yet exactly how it works. We're going to see next time. Or you're just thinking of your happiness. Now, here's a tricky one. This one you will not get until the next time, but I'm going to give it to you right now. Here's the scenario. You have the final exam on tomorrow. This is an exam. This is the only exam of the class. If you fail it, it's over, right? The teacher has no heart. They're not human. So you have to go to that exam, right? So here comes your best friend. You've started preparing. It's midnight. Best friend comes in, completely destroyed. This is your best friend from elementary school. You've known each other forever. Tells you her father just died and she's incapable of studying, but she's so afraid of missing the test because if she fails the test, she will fail the class, and this will bring down her GPA to the point that she cannot get financial aid and she will have to drop out of school and her whole future will be ruined. All right, that's the scenario. Here's my question to you. How many of you would allow them to cheat off of you? How many of you wouldn't allow them to cheat off of you? Okay, how many of you would allow them to cheat off of you the next day? Put your hand in the screen. I'm gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, a lot of you. How many of you wouldn't allow them to cheat off of you? What? I know there's the other half. Where are these heartless people who wouldn't? You just embarrassed to say. You just don't want to look bad. Nobody wouldn't allow them to cheat. Seriously, you're not going to tell me. All right, very good. Now, this one is tricky. So, landsmen, there is no other way to help them. They can't focus. I mean, you could explain to them, but they can't focus. The cheating is the only path, right? This is the only path. Raman, it depends. What do you mean, Raman? Tell us.
Well, it depends on if the other person studied or not, right? Like, let's say if they studied for the test, right? If they know all the answers and the other person really needs their help in order to pass, right? Then I would allow them to cheat. But if, right, let's say if I'm not completely ready yet and I try my best, right? I will consider it, or otherwise I would say no to them. I'm sorry, I can't help you cheat.
If you're not ready, you wouldn't let them cheat?
Well, yeah, it would. It depends for me.
Depends on what?
Depends that I would allow them to cheat, or I would not allow them. Like if I'm ready for the test, right? Like I would allow them to cheat. Or if I'm not ready, for example, I would probably say no to them.
Why? Why would you say no to them? Maybe you get a few answers right.
I mean,
what would stop
that,
you?
I mean, that may be true, but I just think that there are chances that I could be wrong, and that only a few answers won't mean anything to
Okay.
them. Like,
let's ask the class. So Raman just said he won't let them cheat if he's not ready. Is he talking from reason or instinct? Careful now. Is he talking, what is he thinking about when he's thinking, if I get the answer wrong, they'll get it wrong, and then it's gonna go bad for them? What's he thinking about?
Is that reason?
Is that reason? Are you sure, Medina? What is he thinking about?
I think so. He's thinking about the other person and how it's going to affect the other person as well as himself.
Yes, he's
So
thinking about the other person, but is he thinking about the other person's what? When he doesn't want them to be hurt by the bad exam he's writing, what is he thinking about for them? Is he thinking about the right thing to do or about their happiness? Medina.
This is complicated. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say, because I'm thinking it of like this way. So if he's not letting them cheat off of him, if he's not ready for the test because they don't want them to fail even worse, so he's thinking about their happiness, because it kind of like their happiness depends on like their status in school and how they're doing in school.
So you exactly right. He's thinking about their happiness, but again, happiness, whether it's your happiness or the happiness of the other, is still not necessarily what we'll see is the right thing to do, because sometimes the right thing to do goes against the other person's happiness. Let me give you an example. Suppose you have a best friend who's a thug, right? And they're like, hey, I'm about to like go rob this bank and I need you to drive me there. It would make me really happy. And now you're thinking, oh, damn, I should be selfless. I'm so selfish. I know I don't want to do this. It doesn't feel good, but I should make them happy. Now you're driving to the bank to rob it. Are you doing the right thing, Medina?
No.
Okay. So you see, even if it's the happiness of the other, doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing. So if you're thinking like, so Raman, how is Raman thinking? Reason or instinct?
Instinct.
Instinct,
So in
right?
other words, let me get this straight. So when you reason, you're thinking about the right thing to
Yes.
do. And when you use your instincts, you're thinking about yourself and like others, like how it would make them happy, quote unquote, even if it's not the right thing.
Exactly. And so we know the right thing is not happiness, it's something else. Sometimes it goes against happiness. So even though Raman, right, seems to be, right, it seems to be a very noble, right, I won't let them cheat if I'm not ready, Raman is still in the instinct. No offense, Raman. Right? Exactly. So we're going to see more, right? By the way, those of you who said you would let your friend cheat off of you, were you thinking in terms of reason or instinct? This is an easy question. What are you're thinking about your friend? That's true. But are you thinking about the right thing for your friend, or the happiness for your friend?
I feel like I'm thinking about the happiness of the friend.
Exactly. So those of you who allow the friend to cheat, all of you compassionate, sensitive people, you're not doing the according to Kant, right? This is still instinct. So you see how it's difficult, right? Sometimes we feel like, oh yeah, I should help. Of course I should help them. But actually when we analyze a little bit, we realize this might not be yet the right thing. So we don't know yet, right? Why it's the right thing. It doesn't sound good, right? To be not helping your friend. We're going to find out next time, right? We're going to find out next time what is going on that makes it the right thing to not allow the friend to cheat. But right now it feels confusing. It's like, wow, who would be this heartless? Why is Kant so heartless? Well, we'll see next time. I'll bring up the example again at the end of the lecture next time, and you will see so clearly why it wouldn't be the right thing. But right now we're still in suspense, right? Okay, for now, okay, there's a few hands. Let me see, there's a couple hands. I thought, Leon, you raised your hand, did you?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to say, like, I think in this situation, you can't really win in this situation, because if you don't help your friend, your childhood friend, you're gonna have this really crazy guilt trip that you didn't, help your friend who was going through, like you said, a family passing away. They need the financial aid, right? You help them, it's the wrong thing to do because you're helping them cheat, which is academically, right, not the right thing to do. So either way, it just ultimately goes down to, is the lemon worth the squeeze? Like, do you think that at the end of the day, are you doing them a favor of helping them, pass the class and get the financial aid, or not helping them, but at the same time, you feel bad that you didn't help out your childhood friend? It's like a really bad situation.
Yep, it's very bad, because now we have to, however, distinguish between doing the right thing and causing harm, right? When you cause someone harm, doesn't mean necessarily that you're doing something immoral. Sometimes the moral thing to do implies making the other person suffer, like your friend that you refuse to drive to the bank. It's like, damn, you're the only, I need this bank, I need this money, right? So yes, we're gonna learn that for Kant, hurting someone, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're doing something immoral. And sometimes doing something moral causes pain, right? But we're gonna see more next time. You will see more clearly, very clearly, why it's morally wrong according to Kant, right? According to us also. So Leventhal, yes, we'll see that, right? Whenever you're being dishonest, I think Kant talks about it here, you're being immoral, and other things also, but we don't know yet why, right? So, and we're going to find out next time. So for now, all we need to know, let me summarize briefly what we need to know for now, right, is this notion that we have instinct and reason, and if we were made just for happiness, we wouldn't have reason, and that we are constantly torn between these two voices. But of course, our higher self wants to choose the voice of reason. We don't yet know what it sounds like. We don't yet know what is the right thing. What does it look like? We'll find out next time. For now, we can look a little bit at his passage on love, right? He has a few passages on love here that very short, on page 12. Okay. Go with me on page 12, last paragraph. Okay. So here we have two kinds of love. You have a way to love, I'm summarizing, right? You have a way to love that is according to instinct, and you have a way to love that is according to reason. The two loves are called practical and pathological love. So let's analyze these two. So by the way, anyone figure out from the passage, let me read it to you, and tell me which one is instinctual, which one is rational. Okay, so let's see if you can figure this out. So I'm on page 12, last paragraph, undoubtedly. Who is there? Put your hand in the screen. Okay. Undoubtedly, in this way also, are to be understood those passages of scripture which command us to love our neighbor and even our enemy. For love out of inclination cannot be commanded, but beneficence from duty, when no inclination impels us, and even when a natural and unconquerable aversion opposes such beneficence, is practical and not pathological love. Okay, translation. He says, we are commanded to love our neighbor, right? The Bible, right? He's quoting the Bible. So he says, but love as a feeling You can't command that, right? You can't tell people, feel feelings of love for this person, right? But you can tell people to act in a loving way. That's the difference. Feelings of love and acting in a loving way. And so he says, feelings of love cannot be commanded, right? So he says this, for love as an inclination, feelings cannot be commanded, but beneficence from duty, choosing to act in a loving way because it's the right thing to do, duty, where no inclination impels us, even though we don't feel anything. And even when a natural and unconquerable aversion opposes such beneficence, even when we feel repulsed from the idea, he says that type of love, which chooses to love, even though you don't feel like it, he says that type of love is practical and not pathological. He says such a love, practical love, resides in the will. You choose, and not in the propensities of feelings. It lies in principles of action. So it chooses to act in a loving way and not in tender sympathy, no feelings, right? And only that practical love can be commanded. Okay, let's see. How many of you, which one goes with reason? Which one? So practical love, is it instinct or reason based on what I was talking about?
Instinct.
No, wrong. Leventhal, you say reason. Why do you say that, Leventhal?
Because it goes against, like, you don't like the person, you don't feel anything towards the person, but the right thing to do would be to help the person practically, and so that's reason. Instinctually, you wouldn't want anything to do with them, but
very good. Right, instinctually it brings you no happiness to be with this person. You don't like them that much, but you sense they need your help, they need something from you, so you choose to help them. You are acting in a loving way, even though you have no happiness out of it. That's it, reason, right? So pathological love, which is like, I feel like helping you, makes me happy to help you, that's instinct, right? So let me give you an example that highlights those two very well. So make sure you write this down, right? Practical love is the love that you do it because it's the right thing to do, even though you don't feel like it. Pathological love, you feel like it, makes you happy to do it. You want to do it, right? And that, he says, is not yet the highest love. The love that when you love someone because you just feel like loving them, he says, that's not morality, that's instinct. Makes you happy to love them. However, when you choose to love them, even though it doesn't make you happy anymore, now you've risen to the level of morality, right? Let me say that again so you get it really well. When you love someone because you love them, it's fun to love them, you enjoy them, that's instinct. But when you rise above and are capable of loving someone, even when they don't bring you joy anymore, now you've reached a higher level. Let me give you an example. So you're married for 10 years. And it's okay, but not that great. In fact, it's kind of a little bit tension right now in the marriage. But, you've been married, you have kids, you have, whole family, maybe 20 years, right? And then one day you come into your workplace and there's a new hire and you see him or her and you're like, oh my God, that's my soulmate. I just know it. It's you, right? And day after day, your feeling grows for them and you're like, I'm sure that's my soulmate. We need to get together, but you're torn, right? Because you're married, you made a promise, you have kids, and now your soulmate has just appeared. Okay, what is your instinct gonna say you should do? Tell me. Yes, Leon, instinct has no problems. Like, go with your soulmate, right? That's where you should be. It will make you happy to go with your soulmate. What is reason gonna tell you? Stay. Are you happy to stay? No, especially since you just met your soulmate. It is hard to stay. You don't want to stay. And yet your reason is telling you this is the right thing to do. And now you're caught, right? And you have to make a decision. Do I follow my instinct or do I follow my reason, right? And Kant is saying, actually, when you follow your reason, that's when you reach your highest self. That is your true self, right? So even though you're not happy, you have achieved something in the sense that I have integrity, right? So it's not happiness, but at least I feel I have integrity. I have kept my promise. I'm in a way living up to my higher self. I am in a way rising up to my higher self. Leon, go ahead, speak to us.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So in this situation, like, isn't it wrong to still stay with the person that you're with, even though deep down you know they are not the one? You know that they're not making you happy, but you still decide to stay with them. Like, that's sort of giving them like this false narrative that you're still like, you still love them the way that you did from day one. Do you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? Like,
Yes. On the level of instinct, is wrong. You're right.
right.
Your instinct is gonna be like, this is wrong, right? But it's not morally wrong. It's wrong for your instinct, definitely. Your instinct is gonna be shouting and screaming, like, what are you doing, right?
Yeah.
But Kant is saying we were made with this, and somehow there is another path that this part of us is paving. And obviously, right, the right thing to do is more than just, you know, living miserably with your wife. The right thing to do is ultimately find a way to work things out, right? So it goes beyond that. But on that immediate choice, right, your reason is going to be prescribing to you the difficult path, which doesn't imply happiness at all, right? Now, here's an interesting trick question that I'm gonna ask you guys. Which love, between the pathological and the practical, which love really sets you free? Let's see. Let me ask you like this. How many of you think that pathological love really sets you free? So pathological love, really going along with your feelings, going to your soulmate, leaving your wife. How many of you think that this love is the one that's going to set you free? Put your hand in the screen. Let's see how many. Nobody? Okay. How many of you think that staying with your wife is somehow going to set you free? Okay, 1, 2. Hassan, which one are you saying yes to?
The first one.
Pathological love going to set you free?
I'm gonna be honest. From what I'm hearing, I'm getting the exact opposite. That's why I've been kind of quiet and listening, because I'm trying. I'm getting like the exact opposite, but I'm feeling the first one. I don't know.
Okay, well, tell me, why does it set you free?
I guess like it depends on my own perception on what reason and instinct is.
Follow Kant's perception. You know what pathological love is. Pathological love is following your feelings and doing what feels right? What feels good, rather. Sorry, what feels good. This, you're saying, is the love that sets you free?
Yes.
Okay, why? Tell us. Explain to the class why you feel this love sets you free.
Because I guess it's from what I see, it's a pure form of love, because it's not being restricted. It's not it's not lessening the aspect of love itself with other outside effects. It's just, it is what it is.
Okay, when you say restricted by what?
I mean, if you're not truly feeling something, then why even go for it? Why you're not genuine to the person, you're not genuine to yourself, and by doing that you're diluting the aspect of love. And it could probably have, if anybody is a psychology major, that could probably have psychological effects on you in the long term.
All right, makes sense. I think a lot of us agree with you. Halmurad, you were the one who raised your hand against it. Can you make an argument against now?
Yeah, so the thing that would set you free is that feeling that you have nothing to hide, you can stand straight, and you fear nothing in those situations. For example, when cheating happens, you're the one who can say things with confidence and not fear anything. So in that sense, you're free.
So wait, you're saying pathological love sets you free, or practical love?
Practical.
So when you're saying you're free to cheat, what do you mean exactly? You're saying
not free to cheat, but how do I explain?
I mean, is divorce not an option?
Sure.
So there we go. perfectly acceptable. And
Except your
um,
wife doesn't want a divorce, and neither do your kids.
well,
Sucks, right? Hanmurad, do you want to finish your thought?
I guess I'll think about it more.
Okay. Blades, help us.
I don't know if this is outside of like the scope, but I guess I'm thinking a lot about when we talk about the pathological love and kind of Nietzsche's kind of prescription to kind of follow the passions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like a Nietzsche versus Kant thing that's going on in my head.
Mhm.
I see the value of Kant in the sense of you know, the freedom from the passion of that the impulse of that might be freeing in some way because you're in control, you know. That's
Yes,
the
you're on the right
value of
track. You're on the right
but
track.
also with Nietzsche it's kind of like abstaining, you know what I mean? It has the abstaining aspect of I'm stopping myself from indulging in this thing that might also have value. But also I think the divorce process might have a lot more mess than you can acknowledge, because if you have built an entire family with someone, they're not necessarily going to leave. They're going to be like an abscess or a scab on your leg.
They're not gonna
No?
disappear.
They disappear. So they're, and you know, they're, this is the person that has if you're with the soulmate, this is the person that has ruined their life in a way. So I feel like happiness wise, to be a bit more to be a bit more realistic, is a bit compromised in that avenue. It's possible, but you know.
Okay, so you're giving us now an argument out of instinct not to cheat on your wife, right?
Yeah.
Because you're saying, oh man, it's going to be even more painful, so I'm not going to do it, right? So you see how you can also, out of instinct, stay with the wife, right? Hassan, go ahead.
yeah, he just reminded me another point that I think I brought up in another class. I don't know what class, but I generally do not believe that the truth and being honest should hurt. If the truth or being honest hurts you, then you have to put yourself in a position where that does not hurt you, or else you're living in a fantasy world. You're living a lie pretty much. And I feel like that type of I swear to God, every time I'm saying something, there's police in the background. But I lost my train of thought. But yeah, if you're not, if the honesty hurts you and mentally, emotionally, or physically in any way, or the truth hurts mentally, emotionally, or physically in any way, then that's a problem you have to address right then and there. You have to bring yourself in a position where reality aligns with how you feel, or else you're just living as if you're intoxicated, pretty
Okay,
much. You're not.
you're on the right track according to Kant, actually. Liang, continue to enlighten us.
I'm gonna try, but I feel like in terms of this situation, in order to set yourself free is to tell your partner the truth, regardless or not if it seems like it's morally right or wrong. Because if you end up selling them this dream that you do love them unconditionally, but deep down you know they're not gonna make you happy, you should give them that way out, or you should give yourself the way out instead of living this fantasy world.
Sure. So what if
And I
you
feel
tell them the truth? So you tell them the truth, and now they don't want you to leave. They beg you to stay, and the kids also, they're crying. Now what?
I gotta tell them I gotta go.
All right, let me tell y'all what Kant would say. Here's Kant's response, actually. For him, it is the practical love that sets us free. Why? Because in the practical love, you are in full control of the situation. You choose. Whereas in the pathological love, you are swept away by your emotions. You are swept away by the person. The person, the external world, has a hold on you and is dictating to you your actions. And what is that? That is bondage, according to Kant. Anything outside of you dictating to you what you should do, that's slavery. And he says, when I'm following the dictates of the external world, when I'm obeying what the external world is asking me to do, your soulmate or whatever is out there, you are not truly free. You are truly free when you obey your own higher voice. In other words, the path of integrity, where you are in a way faithful to your highest self. So it's not even about being faithful to the other person. It's about being faithful to yourself, to my highest self, to the reason that is telling me this is not the right thing to do. I am faithful to myself. This is integrity, right? At that moment, he says, you are completely free. You are in full control. You're not anymore influenced by something outside of yourself. So yes, Medina, right? You're choosing to do the right thing. And in choosing to do the right thing, this is what sets you free, right? Because you are at that moment, you're the one calling the shots, not somebody in the outside world luring you right away from yourself. Am I making sense? Oh, Hassan, I made sense. Excellent. Blades, Liang, are you better? Are you getting
Wait,
this?
so what I'm understanding is that if you're in control of your decision, then that will set you free.
Yeah.
So
Because
regardless or not, yeah, like if you
yeah.
stay with them or not, so you're saying that there's also a way out, or you're saying
Well,
that
you would follow your highest self, whatever your highest self tells you to do, right? Whether if your highest self tells you to stay, you would stay. If your highest self tells you you should get a divorce, I mean, I don't know what your highest self gonna say, right? Kant doesn't tell us what the highest self says. You know, right? You know
right.
yourself. So the moment you choose to listen to your highest self, right, and not be influenced by the outside world or in bondage with something external, at that moment you're fully autonomous or free for Kant, right? Does that make sense, Leon?
Sort of, yeah. I'm trying to make sense out of it. I'll let time do it. Yeah.
Okay, it takes a while. I know it's tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So maybe next time I will talk to you a little bit about go even a little further than Kant. But there's a beautiful story, I think, that illustrates, that goes one step further than Kant. And I don't think Kant would like this story, but I'm going to tell it so you can get a nice idea of a kind of a little broader version of Kant. I'm running out of battery, which means that I might have to just be off camera for a while. So if you see me disappear, I'm still here. Okay, so here's a story. How many of you saw the movie A Theory of Everything on Netflix? I'm gonna type it in the chat. I want you to see it. Actually, I'm gonna ask you to see it for next time. A Theory of Everything, please watch it. It has a Kantian dilemma of cheating in it, right? I want you to analyze what the characters, two people are faced with cheating, right? One of them chooses one path, the other one chooses the other path. And now I'm going beyond Kant. Look where the paths lead. And then you will see something very interesting about what Kant is talking about. So I want you to watch this movie. It's about, is it Richard Dawkins? The big scientist who was in a wheelchair? You remember? Who's the scientist in a
Steve
wheelchair?
Hawkins.
Thank you. Stephen Hawkins. I always mix the two up. Stephen Hawkins, right? It's the story of his life and his wife and the infidelity that occurs potentially, actually, between the two. And you have here a very beautiful scenario of this Kantian dilemma of should I stay, should I go? So I want you to watch it, and then we'll talk about it next time a little bit in order to broaden a little bit what Kant is talking about. Okay, we are good. Or do you want me to tell you about it now? What do you prefer? I have 10
Can you
minutes.
tell us it now? Actually, yeah, that'll be great.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Very good. I will tell you the story, and I'm just nervous about my battery. Okay, so let me tell you the story. Hold on, I'm trying to put myself on speaker view. Okay, so Stephen Hawkins, right, married. Let me get off camera so I can relax. I need to plug in my computer. Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, I'm sorry. The microphone doesn't work if I take off the camera. We're gonna have to do this next time. Because it's either I have the mic and my computer dies, or my computer doesn't die and I have no microphone. So we'll have to leave it for next time. Please watch I promise you I'll talk about it next time. Leon, you can remind me to do so.
Okay, I'll look forward to it.
Try to watch it tonight. It's a beautiful movie, The Theory of Everything. And then we'll discuss it, and in order to kind of broaden a little bit what Kant is talking about. All right, guys, we gotta go. Bye.
Bye, Professor. Have a good night.
Yeah. Oh man, this sucks. This battery thing. Raman? No? Okay.